Hi you guys, welcome. It's been a while since I've done full-on horoscope videos. I love to do it. They're so time consuming. I've been very busy, and I still am going to be busy for a while, and so I decided to do readings that are good for 3 months. So like for a 3-month time period. I hope that's not like, I don't know, in one ear and out the other in sort of the span of 3 months. That's kind of a while, but hopefully it'll be kind of a generalization for that time, and then I'll be able to do some smaller readings too in the sort of in-between time. Go back and reference these videos, of course. Yeah, just to give you guys a little bit of sort of something. So they're for June, July, and August, and they can be for any sign in any planet, whatever resonates. I also want to say, because I am doing or the structure of these is sort of longer because they are 3 months long, and I wanted to kind of like do some extra, so they're longer. And I do have a basically they're like 4 parts. I'm giving you a general information, and then a sort of a timeline, which is just sort of a, I don't know, supplementation to the general information, and then advice and outcome for that, and then also doing an overview of your love, career, finances and stuff, and also health. And so that's what I wanted to say, was because I am sort of integrating like a health thing, just to talk about that for a minute. And this goes for everything, right? I don't really worry too much about doing readings and giving people advice, because I feel like in the end people kind of, I don't know, they end up doing what they're going to do and what they feel is right, sort of. It's just like kind of like a guidepost a little bit. So you're really looking for that familiarity. If it's not familiar, don't follow it as advice, right? And be conscious of yourself using any kind of advice, but especially things like this, as sort of like an excuse for anything. You know, and especially when it comes to your health and stuff like that, obviously, like health professionals, all that kind of stuff. But it's just kind of like a guideline. If it seems familiar, you know what I mean, you might want to go back to it and look at kind of what other information is surrounding that, right? Sort of thing. So hopefully that all makes sense. I filmed these videos. I've been traveling, so I've been filming these videos, sort of camping. That's why it's taking me so hecking long, and I'm like way behind schedule because I'm just, you know, weather and stuff like that, wind and all that. So they're kind of filmed in various locations, environments, quality. Hopefully it's not too much of a problem, the audio and stuff like that. As usual, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think, if these were helpful, if you enjoyed them. Give me a thumbs up if you can, if you'd like to, and subscribe and all that. And yes, I hope that you enjoy. Hi Aquarius, welcome. Aquarius sun, moon, rising, any other planet in the sign of Aquarius, for June, July, August 2018. Oh, there's a fly in here. Okay. Your general energy, kind of straightforward, but something that is reliant on you, has been reliant on you, maybe a little bit overly reliant on you, that you're really connected to, that you have an establishment kind of with, right? Or that's part of your establishment or your foundation, or that's been with you for a long time, vice versa. Kind of a breaking down or a changing of that, that dynamic. There's sort of some realization, I think, or acknowledgement, maybe. I'm seeing that you're coming into it with a sort of a coming out of a sort of naivety, or like pie in the sky kind of idealism. What you sort of like used to bring to it, right? But that's maybe sort of ending. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing some things ending, things being expressed, verbally expressed, physically, lifestyle-wise expressed. It has this sort of vibe where it's like, seems like it's still going along okay, right? It's not like a breakdown, like the thing itself is breaking down. It's like you're wanting to facilitate that breakdown, or feeling like you should, or something like that, or that something needs to change. Or maybe it's the other side of this situation, not you, but someone here is feeling like that kind of needs to change. That maybe it's not as sort of stable as it seems, as something that's been going along for so long could be. Again, it's still going along, and it still has a sense of like communication, and it's sort of a facade almost of yeah, things are fine, things are great, you know what I mean? Seems like communication's open, blah blah blah, but there's a sort of a unwillingness on one person's end to or possibly both to some degree. Maybe both are sort of admitting it, and both are also kind of a little bit in denial, or on the surface there's this aspect of sort of denial, just because things are running along kind of like they always have, but there's almost like this obsessive, like I don't know, thing coming up, right? That just kind of won't leave you be, that is forcing you to sort of think about the way that things are, and how sturdy they really are, and how well the dynamic is really working for both of you, or whether it's not working very well for one of you anymore. And I say one of you, both of you, it could be another person, but it could also just be a situation in general, right? One specific situation could be like the energy of the time in general, right? That something in there is not really maybe functioning, or something. If it's a situation and it's not working on the situation side, then it's sort of it can be sort of like nothing that you do is really working kind of deal, right? That like you're trying and it's not really working, or something like that. Something's not meshing, and it's becoming a little bit more apparent, not in like a crashing sudden way, but just in sort of more of a persistent way, and sort of more of like an intuitive way, kind of, where things seemed like, oh, it's fine even if they're imperfect before, like that's just part of the process or whatever. Now they seem not so tolerable. And I'm definitely seeing some things ending, whether it's something material, physical, or just maybe some attitudes or some different ways of communicating and stuff like that. Something is kind of having to phase out and being spoken. So let's go ahead and get into, I guess, sort of a little bit of a timeline for this. I'm not going to do like a specific timeline, but it's so weird doing it with you over there. It's like you're in a little TV. Anyways, not doing it like a month-to-month timeline, just kind of a little bit of a general timeline, so it's a little bit looser, but you'll see, like, you know, what comes first and next and that kind of thing. So I'll be right back. Okay. So as far as the timeline goes, it looks like it is going to start with maybe like a little bit of like extra like insightfulness, or like just extra kind of perceptions based on like maybe a little bit of a feeling like your security is threatened, or something like that, or someone's feeling like their security is threatened. A little bit of paranoia, maybe a little bit of like a dominance, or like a power struggle in some way, but just of wanting to have like control over your sense of security, right? Predictability and that kind of thing, and maybe not feeling that so much. Things are a little bit too heated, kind of. Yeah. and then from there we're moving into kind of a long period of sort of sorting things out. I'm not really seeing anything super ending, even though I was saying things were kind of coming to an end and things like that in the last part. Like during this right now, I don't see things being totally like cut off. I see things being sorted out, sort of mentally adjusted and kind of figured out a little bit, and kind of like determining what out of the things that are happening, that in the moment seem kind of stable are actually stable, what in the moment that seems stable aren't stable, what in the moment that don't seem stable are stable, all that kind of stuff, like all this stuff being like, trying to like come to terms with what's in your head and what's in reality and what's in your immediate perception and what's in your perception of the future and what's in your, in your paranoia and in your fears and what's in your self-interest and your best interest and your most kind of like self-loving behavior and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just sorting all that out, looking at all that stuff in a pretty non-judgmental, healthy way. And that can be where some of the communication still is too, right? Like I said, and some of the stability that is there, it's still there. It's just almost a facade, but it is serving as a kind of place for you to do this exploring and this thinking, because you're not getting kind of like pushed out right away. Like I said, it's not like a sudden sort of change. It's more internal and based on like the dynamic itself. It's kind of looking towards the end like things are going to settle out. You're going to kind of come to a whether it's like a physical piece or just like a mental piece or like a little bit of like clarity, but not in like, I don't know, it's like kind of okay if it's not super clear at the end, if that makes any sense. Like you might still be on the journey, you might still be kind of stuck in this thing of like not knowing and sort of, still remaining in this world where things are kind of like unsure. You're not really sure how you feel about it, but you're still dedicating yourself to it and stuff like that, and you're not feeling still at the end of this really rushed. So I think that if you're feeling pretty afraid, and we'll get a little bit more into the outcome in the next part, but if you're feeling a little bit like afraid and anxious, that things are going to come crumbling down, it doesn't really look like that's the case, but it does seem like that those thoughts and those kinds of just the fact that you're having those thoughts can lead to some productive things and some productive self-reflection and just reflection on your situation and that kind of thing. So you can use that, but I don't know that they're totally grounded fully in reality, if that makes sense. So yeah. Now let's talk about some advice. I have to pick these up, put more cards down, put some advice down, and a little bit of an outcome for that, and then we'll get specifically into what health, relationships, love, and like career and finance and that kind of thing. Okay, you guys, advice-wise, okay, you don't need to get, or don't get, like, stuck in your relationships. You want to be kind of more self-involved right now, if that makes sense. So, like, one-on-one relationships and also, like, your social situations, stuff like that, things having to do with all these extra obligations and people that you're connected to and people that you're entwined with, right? They want you to explore those, like I was saying, those like insights and sort of like weird fear emotions, even if they're unrealistic and they're not really, you know what I mean? They don't maybe make super conscious sense or something like that. Just like explore them, go with them. That's the time. This is the time for that, I guess. Yeah, your sort of like trouble blind spots in this can be your or a sort of what can be like oversharing, kind of over communication, sort of letting everybody know everything. You know what I mean? They want you to be more reserved than that. Just people driving up the road. Yeah, more reserved than that. Be kind of like cunning, kind of like keep things to yourself. Like it's an internal sort of process that they want you to do here. And don't also like over, you know what I mean? Don't why do I say do you know what I mean before I explain what I mean? Don't like continue to extend yourself into all these obligations and relationships and stuff like that. Save some of your energy and keep your energy for yourself and for these other explorings that you're doing. You don't have to make them known and vocalize them. Don't pretend that they're not happening by just putting all your energy into, again, being involved in these relationships and things like that. You want to be, like, play it cool, but be a little reserved, and make sure that you kind of are saving that stuff for yourself and just working on it internally and stuff like that. I mean, you can talk about it a little bit and things, but don't broadcast everything or sort of say everything like it's definite and that kind of thing, because I am seeing your outcome card is this, and this was in the outcome for the first part too, or the energy that's sort of phasing in, and this is Sagittarius in reverse. So this is an ending card for me. It can be like a bridges burning card. This is like a forest burning card, but it's also like Sagittarius. They say like Scorpio is sort of like your death energy a little bit, whatever. Sagittarius to me is your like, is like an afterlife energy sort of, you know what I mean? And it has this vibe when it is cutting all ties off and it could just be for sort of the time being, right? To cut your obligations off so you can and be more internal and that kind of thing. Or if you decide to go this way and sort of move in a different direction, this has kind of a vibe of again, things not crashing down around you due to external factors, but you sort of being distracted by something else, feeling restless, wanting to do something else, just feeling discontent within yourself, right? And taking it upon yourself to sort of, whether you're prepared or not, like move something or change something, right? So it's not, ooh, that was a little electric shock. It's not, a sudden burn down, even though it is like fire in the forest. This is like something you start kind of thing, right? And it does have to do with kind of like the fantasy land almost of that afterlife kind of energy, where it's like, it's not the end that you're after that's like the goal, you know what I mean? It's not, you're not uncontent, yeah, whatever, you're not unhappy because of the situation necessarily. It's just that you maybe want something different kind of thing, a restlessness. So that's that. Hopefully that helps. I'm gonna still keep watching. I'm gonna put down cards specifically for health, career, love. So excuse me, one sec. Okay, where were we? Okay, let's start with health. I'm seeing paranoia, maybe a sort of a disconnection from your body a little bit, a fear about your health a little bit. They're wanting you to not do that instead of kind of going down dark paths, right? In your mind, your sort of mental sphere, and imagination. They want you to just get in touch with your like the ecosystem of your body, right? And of your health, your mind, and all that kind of stuff. Like, how does it work? If you don't know how it works, like, figure out how it works. Like, just look at it, study it, feel it, just try to be kind of proactive and be one with it, right? Work with it. Don't just be paranoid for no reason and work yourself up. And you can come out of this sort of like disconnection, right? It seems like there's kind of a disconnect somewhere. You can come out of it, and I'm seeing sort of a much better place, much more comfortable, sort of an idealistic place even, that's creative. It's definitely on your own time. It's not obligated by other expectations, society's expectations, anything like that. It's definitely of its own definition. But it's really comfortable, and it's really nice and productive. And I don't know, I just keep wanting to say more things about it because it looks really good. It's nice. It looks a lot more calm, and it just, as I keep wanting to say, like, on your own time, like, and on your own standard and that kind of thing. Just don't get yourself worked up. Remind yourself of your own ecosystem, right? What it's all doing with itself and for itself and together, and how it can be adjusted, and how it's working fine and all that kind of stuff. Just be realistic. Okay. So in what were we looking at next? Career and finances and that kind of thing. I'm seeing that you may be kind of feeling like you're having to like kiss ass a little bit, and maybe not make yourself as sort of known as you would want, or that kind of thing. Just making prioritizing other people, other people's feelings and that kind of thing. I gotta say, stop saying "and that kind of thing." It's so annoying. Anyways, this wants you to go after what's good for you, basically. Like, it's your life. Like, go after what you want, really. Don't martyr yourself. Don't hide away. Don't shy away. Don't kind of, you know, like I said, martyr yourself, or like put yourself aside for the sake of other people, that kind of thing. Like, go for what you want. Don't be shy about it. And something that was kind of like that you wished for, that would have been a desire, you know what I mean, can actually become a reality. It looks like it's going straight from the 11 to the 1, which is kind of cool. It's very, that's a very nice and kind of broad step to take into making something a reality. All right, I guess I talked too long before and my SD card memory ran out or something like that, so I wanted to redo this section for you guys. I have a ton of cards laid out in front of me. Okay, this is the love portion for this June, July, and August, I'm pretty sure. It better be, because that's what I'm doing. I just was like, well, maybe I should do something else since it didn't record, blah, blah, blah. So I actually have 3 different things in front of me, and you guys can either pick a number, 1 through 3, more than one number, or you can listen to all of them, see what sounds familiar. Maybe they all sound familiar, maybe one sounds familiar. 2 of them have very similar vibes, but very different relationship types. I think in one of them is completely different. So I'm gonna I guess give you guys a second to pick if you want to pick 1, 2, or 3, or if you just want to listen to all of them. I'll try to be a little bit brief, but yeah. Yeah. I can't sit here for that long. Okay, I'm gonna start now. So the first 2 relationships that I'm seeing are, they both have a similar vibe of like, there's a knowledge there, and there's a knowing, and there's 2 kind of ways you can go, and one of those is to sort of, well, I guess I'll just deal with them at once. The thing that they have in common is they both have this sort of like a lightning, I'm getting like a lightning vibe, like things coming to light, right? Lightning striking and lighting everything up in a really kind of intense way, and sort of ground shaking way. So definitely these have to do with taking initiative and making a change. The first relationship is one that has, or is experiencing right now, sort of a sense of withholding, especially sort of physical resources or physical affection or something like that. Yeah, there's a knowledge of this, though. There's some kind of barrier. There's a wall inside this relationship, and one or both parties kind of know that it's there. And there's a possibility, this is the sort of, what they want you to move away from is this sort of a distraction, or a, like a, overindulgence, trying to like distract yourself and that kind of thing, or successfully distracting yourself, and just remaining in this kind of environment, right, where things are walled off and they're just going along, they're staying here, and they're kind of advising against that and advising you to be more, a little bit more brave about facing things, and then also present, I guess, rather than sort of chasing after like the future a little bit, right? Like doing things like to protect this scenario the way that it is, right? They want you to be more in tune with what is happening in your present tense, and how is that affecting things? Is it positive? Is it negative? That kind of thing. Because like, you know, your present is your future. I think I said that once for one of these readings already for this time, but like your present is your future, right? So you have to kind of pay attention to that, as well as, you know, as much as you want to pay attention to the future and what's worrying about kind of breaking down those walls, even though they're sort of making things negative, right? You want to improve your present. So you want to kind of go head on into it and take a little bit of initiative, and I don't know, just use your sense of awareness, I guess, to kind of bring some light to some things, even if it might rattle things a little bit. So the second relationship, the energy between these people is having something to do with martyring. Somebody's martyring themselves or doing things that they don't want to do, and sort of feeling like, oh, like, I don't know, it's sort of a passive aggressive, and like, I'm doing this so I'm so great, even though they don't really kind of want to do it. That sounds negative, but yeah. And again, they don't want you to get stuck in that just kind of world of like knowing, right? You can know it, that's fine. Know it, kind of have all these like sort of inside like opinions about it and stuff like that, but it's just going to get you kind of like stuck in this like continuing to do that same thing and knowing about it. Like, who cares if you know about it, if you're not doing anything about it? So they want you to take some initiative. Again, shine some light on some things. Just light a little fire. Talk about some things. Communicate. Yeah. Start something else. Do something else, too. This could definitely be having to do with doing something else, but the ultimate thing that I'm seeing coming into sort of being or whatever is that sort of shaking up of this relationship, or of your sort of like social environment or something like that, or shaking up of like what people think of, or what you or the other people in this relationship think of like as like positive or beautiful or that kind of thing, to sort of shine some light on that and be talking about it and be changing something, basically. The third relationship is different. This one feels positive. These ones were having some negativities going on. This one feels really positive. Like, not necessarily the relationship itself, but you feel positive about it. It might be a new kind of relationship, but it's something that it feels both like kind of like calming, enlightening, easy, sort of stimulating, especially mentally stimulating, psychically stimulating, spiritually stimulating, but not in like an overly dramatic way, in a pretty like mellow way, like I said. But they're really asking you to pay attention to signs and flags and even little bits of like paranoia that you might have. Don't get like obsessed with this relationship, or there could be a worry, a tendency to like become obsessed or whatever, and they're asking you not to do that. There could be some control issues, some control, power struggles, that kind of thing, and also like some like verbal abuse and things like that. They definitely want you to pay attention to your instinct, pay attention to specifically sort of the connections that you're seeing outside of yourself, if that makes sense. Like, pay attention to your environment, what these other people in this relationship, and what yourself too, how you, if you're the sort of rude one, the sort of like aggressive one, to pay attention to the environment and how you and other people react to everything, not just within this relationship where things are happy and good, right? Hold on one second. But where, you know, how everything else is kind of connecting, what else is going on. And then also how you feel physically, internally, if that makes sense. Pay attention to all these signs, especially things that you've experienced that where you've had physical sort of feelings about it, and you know those have resulted in some certain things. Make those connections. Yeah, they want you to do that, even though the relationship right now feels really great. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's negative. It just means to really be aware of a lot of those things, right? Stay aware so that you kind of know what you're getting into, and you maybe can deal with some of those things if they go down, if it does kind of progress, right? But yeah, definitely pay attention to the signs. Don't get too caught up in your what do I want to say, emotions and things like that, I guess, right now. Okay, I hope that that's helpful. A little bit lengthy. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Bye.